We have heard you tell adult children that their parents don't get a vote when they're making decisions or life choices.
Yes.
It is. Because we're the parents, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, let's do this. I've been waiting for this one. Showdown time. Let's do it.
Well, we'll start by saying we don't disagree. We get it, right?
Oh, man, I was hoping we were going to fight.
Boundaries.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but I'm going to ask you to put a comma at the end of the sentence and not a period.
Okay. Excellent.
So the comma is your parents don't get a vote. And our question is what comes after the comma, right? So we've got a 33-year-old son who's on a dead-end road. And we've bailed him out. We've helped him out. We've done all the things to set him up for success. But he just keeps making really bad choices that he doesn't talk to us about because he's, autonomous. He's doing his own thing. And we're just at the point of asking and really kind of, I guess, clarifying, are we doing the right thing by not bailing him out, by not helping? Hey, he made his choices. He didn't ask our input or take our advice. And so are we somehow responsible for helping him clean up another mess?
Give me a scope of the messes. I have pretty firm thoughts around this, but give me the scope of the mess.
He's at this point, so he's clean and sober. So let me just, clear that. He has a past, substance abuse history. He's really marginally employed at best, kind of by choice. And he might have some anxiety that has gotten in the way of him being successful and, holding down jobs, but he's gotten fired from 2 good jobs. He is like a banana peel away from slipping into being homeless.
Okay.
He is that close. And he's been there before, and we've, bailed him out. And of course, you always have a safe place to land here and blah, blah, blah. And then he just doesn't get his act together.
Yeah.
We've always focused on his potential. We see the good in him. We see, we work really hard to show him grace and love and just all the unconditional things that we want him to experience. But it's just, he's just not, he's not adulting really well.
Dad, how do you feel?
I agree. It breaks my heart. We've had, both our sons, great kids, great growing up life. And I think the thing that breaks my heart is I always had a safe place to land in my parents' home. My grandparents were the same way. And we raised our boys, a home is a safe place. If there's something goes down, you can always come home, which our son has done multiple times, and that's fine. But we get him in, get him on his feet, and he gets going. And this last time, I said, "Hey, this is it. We can't keep this cycle going. You're going to have to make it." And he was set up for success, but once again, it failed. And I think the thing for me this time was he covered it up. He lied. He wasn't truthful. He ended up putting us $8,000 in debt because we had to bail him out on something that I never swore I would do, was sign a loan for my kids, but we did. And he is like Gail said, he is basically living on a mattress in somebody's basement. And he asked if he could come home, and I said no. Mm-hmm. And that hurt so bad.
Tell me about that. You hung up the phone. When you said no, what did he say to you?
He started to cry.
Yeah.
And he just didn't know. He wasn't used to saying no.
Okay.
For us to say no, that he couldn't come home. And we even had to call, trusted family members who said, "Hey, this is what we're about to do. This is hard." And, they said, "Yeah, it's hard, but do you feel it's the right thing?" And I just felt like, I felt this is it. You're gonna have to, if everything goes from beneath you and you're out on the street, I can say to myself, we've done everything, but man, it hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts.
So holding that tension is incredibly important because that's the path forward. Henry Cloud, if you haven't read the book Boundaries, it's one of the first stories in the book, and Henry's a great buddy of mine. But the classic line in that opening story is, the greatest gift you could give your son is some problems. Because there's always been, when the weight bar got heavy, there's always somebody that ran over there and helped lift it off your chest. And I wouldn't wish, when I first got married and I acted the fool with my spending and I was walking around the house at night when my wife was asleep, like I didn't know how we were going to pay bills, right? I had a medical emergency. I had to call a buddy and say, hey, if I have to go to the ER tonight, can I borrow your credit card? I had nothing.
Right.
And I wouldn't wish those nights on anybody. I wouldn't wish that stress on a young marriage for anybody. But even if my parents had wanted to, they didn't have it, right? Like, they didn't have anything. And so I'm now 20 years removed from that. And I tell you what, I've got layer upon layer upon layer of protection against ever going back to that thing. Right? And so the greatest gift I have now in my late 40s is that I experienced the actual, there is no one's coming to get you on this one, dude. Right? And I'm glad I learned that at 25 and not at 35, because I think the consequences would have been much greater. It would have been difficult.
Absolutely.
So take me back to when you hooked him up, you got him set up with a really great job, and he gets fired. What's the very next thing that happened?
So we set up for, it was around Christmas time, and he had been at the job 6 months plus, and everything going fine. And he had his own condo, his own transportation. And I said, hey, come over for Christmas, because it was Christmas time. We'll do our Christmas dinner. We'll set up, see if you can get off. He goes, oh, yeah, I can get off. He goes, but my vehicle's not working. Can you give me a ride? I was like, absolutely. Because he had trouble with the vehicle back and forth. And so I go to pick him up, and there's no answer. His vehicle's not there. I'm thinking, did he go somewhere? So I text him. He's like, oh, I've got to tell you, I moved out. I'm at a buddy's house. So I'm like, okay. So I go get him from his buddy's house, and I said, what's going on? He goes, oh, I had to move out because the dog was barking too much, and they called the condo association. Well, long story short, it ended up he had lost his job weeks before. He couldn't pay his rent. He was getting kicked out of his condo. Well, then he owed money, and the truck wasn't working. So he sold the truck, even though he didn't have the title. He didn't tell us about it. He didn't come to us and ask us for help or assistance. And then he's living in somebody's house, and there's no explanation. There's no thank you. There's no nothing. And next thing we know, we got creditors, because he hadn't been paying the loan, coming after us, and we were getting sued, so we had to pay off the loan. And no thank you, no.
Yeah, well, I think in all of that, part of the frustration was, he wasn't honest with us, but it's not like he got fired and then started searching for another job. It's not like he was like busting his butt, hey, I'll shovel driveways through the wintertime to make $20 to try and cover whatever. He just stuck his head in the sand and disappeared until the truth came out. So I don't feel like he takes ownership and responsibility of himself.
But he never has had to, has he?
No.
No. Even when he's not lived with us, he's had other people that have helped.
But just sit in that for a second. Just sit in that for a second. This isn't about judgment or blame. This is just an is.
Yeah.
It's easy to look back and go, oh my gosh, in college we stepped in and then the first job afterwards we stepped in and then this one thing and then this one thing and this one thing. And now he's 33 years old.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a tension here. And the tension is, if I think my kid, I don't care how old they are, if I think my kid is about to cross a line where they're not going to be alive anymore, I'm going to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be institutionalization. It might be me fighting to take their civil rights away so they have to go do an inpatient treatment program or something, but I'll step in when I can. But until then, the greatest gift I can give my kid is they've got to understand how the world works.
Yeah.
And by the way, can I just say this? That doesn't mean that your kid's never welcome back at home. It might be that y'all sit down and come up with a roadmap. You will have a job. You'll have 3 jobs. You'll pay rent. You'll have to be home by midnight. You'll have to have drug tests. I mean, y'all get to pick the rules at your house.
Right.
So when it comes to parents don't get a vote, what I mean by that is, not they don't get a vote in trying to keep you alive. Not that they don't get a vote in, they just have to keep shelling out money and resources and time to your never-ending series of bad decisions.
Yeah.
What I mean, they don't get a vote is when you're married, they don't get to force you to come to a Christmas that you can't afford to travel or can't get off of work.
Right.
Right? And that's not y'all at all.
No.
So y'all very much get a vote in, or you know what? I've never done this before, but let me flip it. He doesn't get a vote in what y'all do. And actually, I've been hearing this call more and more on the Ramsey show, the other show that I host, of kids saying, "Hey, the inheritance went to the wrong person." And it's like, you don't get a vote, man. It's their money. You can be mad. You can be disappointed, but that's their money. Or my dad just bought a new car and he's 75 years old and he doesn't need to. Dude, you don't get a vote. It's their, so he doesn't get a vote into what y'all try to do for your house.
Right.
Where I think you're going to get yourselves in trouble is if you don't honor this with the weight that it requires and don't grieve. Y'all had a picture of this 33-year-old already married to somebody, home with a grandkid. And that picture's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And your body's going to continue to try to solve for that picture. And what that looks like in real life is every text message your body leaps to, this is the one.
Yeah.
Every email you get, you're like, oh, this is the one. And you open it and it's, hey, Dad, I need $40. And then there's a raccoon bit the back of my bike tire and then it crashed into like some just insane story, right?
Yeah. And you've lived our life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't talk about this kind of stuff, but I've got a lot of experience here.
Yeah.
And so the hard part is sitting down and you two together sound like your marriage is good. Is that fair?
Oh, we're solid.
Okay. Like amazing. Because this situation breaks up couples a lot.
Yeah.
We've definitely had to struggle through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one wants to keep funding it. One wants to cut them off. One wants to be ugly to them. One wants to, and that breaks couples up. If you guys are still solid, that's amazing. Here might be a really tough, but a powerful bonding experience for the both of you. If you wrote a letter to him that you're never going to send, but you read it to each other, one from Dad and one from Mom.
Oof.
And it would let you hear, because both of you are walking around, can we be honest? Both of you are walking around feeling like you were the one who kind of failed the most.
Oh, 100%.
And Dad, you're walking around saying, man, if I had just, and Mom's like, if I had just, and those unspoken stories that y'all tell each other, you both feel like you're carrying the entire squat bar and you're not. Let's just set the whole bar down.
Yeah.
And so if we write a letter to him, we read it to each other, there's this story. This isn't going to happen. It might happen. He may come to your house at 43 with the new grandkid, maybe. But it's not going to happen at 33. And we kind of thought it would be by now.
Yeah.
And so if y'all write that letter, read it to each other out loud, and y'all weep together and you're sad together, then you get to this magic, awful place called reality. Here's where we actually are. We have a 33-year-old man that keeps making my wife cry. I have a 33-year-old man that makes my husband go into withdrawal so deeply inside of himself he didn't talk for 3 days. And when you get that level of distance, then you can start making informed decisions, not emotional decisions. Informed decisions like, I can't give you any more money because I'm funding your drug use. I'm funding your next bad decision, man, and I can't be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And so here's what I would give him. I would give him a typed out piece of paper that says, we love you on it. And here's what we're willing to offer you anytime, day or night. You ready to go get counseling? We're in. You want to go to treatment for marijuana and for anxiety? We're in. We'll fund it. You want to, y'all make up the map, but I think it's worth him because he's going to wake up and he's going to be frozen. And I don't want him to have an email or a text message. I want him to have a specific thing that he can fold up and have in his pocket.
Okay.
And email it to him because he'll lose that, but he'll remember it, right? He'll remember it. And you can say, I'm emailing this to you also.
Yeah.
But there will come a moment when he's going to have to make a hard choice. And man, if he knows, all right, I'm going to go get treatment. Even if he thinks I'm going to scam my mom and dad out of this, I'll tell him I'm going to go to treatment. And maybe he gets in there for 3 days or 4 days and is able to finally sleep and is able to, I think it's 30 days without marijuana that starts to really transform your head. You start to get your mind back. And I'm not talking about recreational use. I'm talking about someone who is using it as for medicinal purposes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a lot of jargon I just threw at you. I just want to be sad as a parent with you guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
This stinks.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate it.
It didn't bring him home.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, yeah. No, I appreciate that. And that, that really is where we've landed and still questioning, like, are we doing the right thing? You know?
Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. And just because it's right doesn't mean it's without risk. And the risks here happen to be catastrophic.
Yes.
They're so big.
Yeah.
And it may be that he needs 2 more weeks of, I've got nothing. I'll come home.
Yeah.
Hope any of that helped, man. And maybe just being a listening ear and just saying, yeah, you're right for this to hurt really bad and for the next right move. And I'll tell you, I'll say this one more time before I let you guys go. If I know somebody's suicidal, if I know someone's self-harming, if I know somebody's right up there on the precipice, I'm going to go get you. I'm going to fight to have your civil rights taken away so I can get you institutionalized, so I can let professionals do their thing. But as you mentioned earlier, you've offered counseling, you've offered so many resources, and he's never once asked for your help. And I don't know there's anything harder than a family member who just doesn't care, doesn't want our help. Man, that's tough.